Welcome to Content Chaos with George and Call, a weekly podcast diving straight into meaningful conversations about navigating modern life. Using their weekly review framework, they explore personal growth, professional insights, and cultural observations. No fluff, just authentic dialogue that transforms chaos into clarity.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, hola, bien. We're back.
Estamos aquí. Came back from Spain, and we took a week off because it was Easter and we were in Spain.
Yeah, we were out of the country.
So do you want to kick us off, honey, with what went well over the past week or 2 weeks? I'm not sure.
It's a little over a week. Yeah, Spain, the whole trip was great. I think there was the travel and the sights and the experience, of course, that was really great. The weather was better than advertised. It was warmer than it was supposed to be. But what was really, I think, the real me was just being with everyone out of our element and, seeing just the kids at a different phase in their life since last time we did a major trip like that. It was really cool to see Hayden in her element in a way in Madrid and sort of marching us around and showing us the things that she likes and that she does there. Just new to see the 18-year-old having a beer with him, was really cool, and just having, everybody's moving to the next phase in their life, and that really stood out. It was great to then, head across Spain together and have that little mini adventure of sorts, via train out to Barcelona and be with Blerick. So I'll let you talk about that. But that was fun too, being in Barcelona and then exploring more of a new place, or at least not where Hayden's studying together. It was really meaningful from that perspective, I think. So that went really well.
Yeah. And it was cool that we got to Madrid on her first birthday.
Yeah.
And got to have dinner with her on her birthday night. And yeah, it was also just good, albeit not always easy, to let the kids lead. And as emerging leaders and young adults, like, they want to make the choices. And, I have my itinerary and a point of view of how I want things to go, and just kind of been like, nope, gotta let them make decisions, lead, and even Maeve popping in there with the Google Maps. That was helpful.
Yeah.
She was always ready to help us navigate back to the hotel. But yeah, it was phenomenal, really. I'm a big Spain fan. Like, I had visited 30 years ago in college, but hadn't spent this kind of time really going deep. And I was a Spanish major, well, a double major, English literature and Spanish language. But I know a lot about Spanish history from all of my studies, and it had been tucked away in my brain. So it was kind of cool to dig all that stuff out and remember different things about, history and Franco, and Spain being a young democracy. It's really on the upswing, and just the culture, and Madrid is just awesome. I mean, it is just so cool. Loved the food. I loved buying my European fashion items. And yeah, it was just, and also the Blerick home in Argentona is beautiful. And it's just to spend time with long-term friends in another country, just relaxing. And Beth hasn't even worked her magic on that house yet, but it's already like unbelievably cool. So
Yeah.
it was great. It was really great.
Yeah, that was great. And, to have a home to sort of relax in before we head out for the day was nice, and to be with friends like that. That was great.
Yeah. So on the flip side, what could have been better?
So we shared that for what went well. That was because I went with that. So that's our combined, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I just want to make sure I didn't leave you out on anything.
You don't get to keep all of Spain to yourself.
No, but I just wanted to be careful that, so what could be better? I think everything's going to be around Spain or the trip to Spain, but I would say it's not really about Spain as much as it's about us, or being the royal us, like the U.S. and Americans. It was really sad to be in a country like Spain and the anti-US sentiment with graffiti, and that it really, more than once, seeing a little old man outside the soccer stadium holding an anti-Trump sign, little old guy, and things that really it wasn't like an escape from everything that's happening. And it felt, I think that the nice thing was that the people didn't seem to confuse the geopolitical stuff happening, but that was sad. That really, I didn't dwell on it there because I didn't want to bring the kids down or anything, but be in Europe and see that, not some other part of the world where you might have expected it more a decade ago or something, it was just really sad to see that. So I thought that could have been better.
Yeah. The old man outside to share with our audience, we went to the Madrid-Barcelona game.
Atletico Madrid, not Real, but
Thank you for the clarification. And there was an elderly man holding a sign that said "Stop." It said
embargo.
Yeah, and it said "Peace now." It said "Peace now," and it just, it really did underscore how we all are connected, like it or not. And now the consequences reach the rest of the world, and we were up close and personal seeing it all happening. We had a couple different incidents, and now I'm going into what could have been better. We filled a gas tank in Barcelona, and we did it 3/4 of the way, and it was 100 euros. And if you extrapolate that out, if we had filled the tank, that would have been equal to $157 to fill the gas. And so, it's very expensive and people are feeling it. When we went out to dinner one night in Barcelona and we ordered a bunch of pizzas and appetizers and whatnot, the owner came over to our table and said, "Hey, due to shortages in gas and other issues, we can only give you half your order." And he was kidding, but it was underlying that sentiment of like, look at what you guys have done to us. And I didn't feel personally like people were taking it out on us, but in general, you just you can't unsee it. You can't unfeel it. It's definite, it's not a good feeling. And also along those lines, we were in Barcelona. I remember going to bed one night, and the night of, the tweet or whatever it is about wiping out a civilization.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff also, while you're traveling abroad, makes you feel unsafe, makes you feel like a target. Having a daughter studying abroad, I mean, it's things that never in my life would I think I'd have to be worrying about this kind of stuff. But this is where we are. So it's not good. And, bringing it to home, the gas prices are so high that pawn shops are seeing people coming in asking for loans. So it's really, if you're living, paycheck to paycheck and just scraping by, you have now crossed over into a perilous time. So all of that could have been better for sure and can be better. And no bueno, no es bueno, no me gusta. Okay, so what did you learn?
Again, so, related to Spain, and you brought it up. I guess I relearned. I had forgotten until I was reading some of the history. I'd forgotten how young a democracy Spain is. And the last time I was there was 25 years ago. I'd gone twice in like a brief period of time. And my experience there at that time, it was still very old school Spain feeling. You didn't have a lot of variety, and everything was a Spanish restaurant. Everything was Spanish everywhere. Madrid had, I don't remember feeling the way I did at Madrid. I loved Madrid then. I loved it this time. I'm a big fan of Madrid, but the reading about how it had, become democracy and sometime after 1975, I think. And that wasn't that long ago. And realizing things had changed now, where it is just a very diverse city from a cultural perspective, whether it was the food or it was the art or any sort of experience. It was, I was preparing myself for ham and filet of sole. That's what I remember eating the last time I was there. I got really sick of it, but that didn't happen this time because there was just so much to choose from, and the city was really vibrant, and it had, Spain had the feeling of a new democracy that was, part of the EU and really, I don't know what the technically, economically, I don't know if they're thriving as much as it felt as much they're thriving, but it felt like just it was a very different environment to be in. Everybody was out, everybody was, so I think Beth put it really well where she said people in Spain go out to do the things that we all stay in our house to do, like, go have a coffee in the morning, go grab lunch. You could see that, and they weren't walking around on their phones. So I was telling someone today, we went to watch the sunset at Hayden's favorite sunset spot, and they have, the quality of the buskers, whatever, but, everybody gathers around this sort of formally scheduled, series of guitar players, and they're all gathered around, and there were only a couple of phones out. Everybody was experiencing it. Like little things like that really stood out about people enjoying each other and learning sort of that, we take some things, or I take some things for granted, and being there and relearning about their trajectory since the mid-70s was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's also interesting too, like after their experience with Franco, like they want no part of like what's happening in the United States right now. They're like the least simpatico to the current administration. So, and it's very understandable. I mean, they lived through a really rough time marked by isolationism and ultra nationalism and all of that. So they're like, nope, no, thank you, adios.
Yeah. What about you?
So what I learned I'm going to share is a refocus on Gaudi, the artist Gaudi. So we did Gaudi galore in Barcelona. We visited the Sagrada Familia, which was very, very cool. I mean, just breathtaking. The colors of the windows and the scale of everything. We climbed the Passion Tower. We visited Casa Batlló and Park Güell, two very well-known Gaudi locations in Barcelona. And he was like a real iconoclast. He took his inspiration from nature. So I was thinking about it and I was doing a little research on him. And a lot of my followers on Content Chaos on Substack are from the neurodiverse community. And so he actually was, a lot of people have thought that he was an autistic person. He had extreme hyperfocus. He spent 43 years building, that Sagrada Familia, just locked in to the core. He had rheumatism, which caused him a lot of pain, and he had a hard time walking. And just to remain able to feel okay and to work, he had to walk 6 miles a day. That was like part of his whole constitutional. But anyway, he was like very sensitive. He had sensory sensitivities. He refused to speak anything but Catalan, and he was arrested when the King of Spain came to visit, and he would only speak Catalan because he was being very rigid in his thing. He was very strict in his routines. He had a vegetarian diet because of his various issues. He was obsessive. He had OCD. He had to be very rigid in all his routines. And he would go so deep on a certain detail that no one else would have noticed or seen. And he didn't do well with regular systems. He wasn't much of a student. He was this brilliant mind that couldn't be contained. And so I just think he's a fascinating person. It was cool to revisit who he was. And also interesting that he died because he was hit by a tram. They thought he was a beggar because he was disheveled and everything, and brought him to the cheap hospital, and that's where he died. Crazy.
Yeah, no, he's all these that are, still a huge part of Spain. It's just really, he had a real lasting impact that continues to this day. I mean, they're just finally cathedral, so it's
Yeah.
still a really big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, overall, it was magnificent. It was just such a great week. Very grateful. Couldn't have been better.
Yeah. It was fantastic. Yeah. I guess that's it. We did it.
Yes. See, hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Thanks, everyone.